Good afternoon, everyone. It's my great pleasure to introduce Jean de Ville for the award of Pioneer in Transplantation. Throughout his career, Jean has been an innovator, an entrepreneur, challenging and improving outcomes for patients. He started early. His PhD thesis in 1995 was on innovation in pediatric liver transplantation. He hasn't stopped since, as many of you who heard his plenary lecture this week will realize. He's internationally recognized for a number of key surgical developments. They include the Mesorex bypass for portal hypertension, many technical refinements in split liver transplantation, living donor transplantation, and combined en bloc reduced liver and bowel transplantation, thus enabling transplantation to many desperately ill infants. He's got a huge contribution to research and education with more than 400 publications. He's been on the editorial board of many medical journals. He's a very generous and supportive teacher and mentor and has trained many upcoming surgeons, some of whom wrote such warm letters of support for this award. But he's also had an international work with collaboration globally, advancing liver transplantation in children all over the world, providing advice and support to many units, and developing international guidelines. He works even now in both Sicily and South Africa, clocking up more frequent flyer miles than the rest of us, and doing a great deal of work in underserved parts of the world. I had the great pleasure of working with Jean in Birmingham, and so I saw at first hand his dedication to his work, his compassion and care for his patients and their families, his warmth and generosity for the team. He made a great difference to our program and to our patients, allowing many of them to live into adult life and achieve their own ambition. But what about Jean as a person? Well, the first thing I noticed was he's a really stylish dresser, particularly his socks and his shoes, blue suede. I liked his clarity of thought and ambition. He always knew where he was going. He's good company, he's warm, he's funny, a very interesting dinner companion. And most of all, he is a great dancer. So Jean, you have been my friend, my colleague, my dancing partner. I'm delighted that your huge contribution to pediatric liver transplantation has been recognized by this award.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Deirdre, for this nice introduction. I will take a little bit of paper because you know that I tend to speak too much, too long. So if I want to keep in the time, I will be assisted by my paper. So, and my class is also at my age. So, dear President, dear IPTA members, dear colleagues and friends, I'm truly honored to be here today. First, I want to express my best thanks to the International Pediatric Transplant Association in general, and especially to Lars Pep, the current president, and to Carlos Esquivel, who is the chair of the IPTA Awards Committee, and also past president, and of course to the Awards Committee, because they elected me, not only you, Carlos. So it's, to my eyes, this Pioneer in Transplantation Award is the highest award that a pediatric transplant surgeon can dream of. And for that, it is a privilege, an honor, and I thank you all, and the committee especially, deeply. I have the diapositive, yeah? This was the first. Yeah, let's go. Okay. Exactly 40 years ago, September as well, Professor Jean-Bernard Ott in Brussels asked me if I wanted to join the transplant team and to train in pediatric surgery, because I was a general surgeon at that time. And I said yes, of course. At that time, he was just starting one of the most successful, or what will be the most successful, one of the most successful pediatric transplant center in Europe. Professor Ott also received this award 12 years ago, and I'm so delighted to follow his footsteps now myself. I'm grateful for the opportunity he gave me. He's not here today, but I'm really grateful for the training he gave me, and especially for his patience. Because at that time I was young and probably a little bit more difficult than I am still now. Later, I had the great pleasure of meeting Professor Kelly, as she said. So she took on the very challenging task at that time of broadening my horizons and educating me on the many aspects of the transplant surgeon's role as a clinician, as a researcher, and her guidance at that time was invaluable. She worked hard to try to make of me also an English gentleman, and I'm still unsure I get to that point. But she was instrumental in the founding of IPTA at that time as well, and she introduced me to this incredible community that we represent. I would like to thank again Deirdre for supporting me, not only during the Birmingham years I spent working with her, but also through my entire career, because she has been continuing supporting me even if I abandoned Birmingham. On this figure, you can see the evolution of the number of transplantation, pediatric liver transplantation in Europe, represented by the bar, starting the red and then the blue and then the green. I was born just at the right time to be ready as a surgeon, a young surgeon, when the adventure of pediatric liver transplantation began in Europe. And 84 marked the start. In 85, I was already fully involved. So I went through the whole curve. You remember the quasi-exponential growth in the late 80s and in the 90s. I mean, some who are too young to know that. This is the example of what happened at that time. The first 10 years of this adventure were intensely busy and challenging, as you know, and everything was new. We had to reinvent liver surgery at that time, at least for the part that was related to transplant, and invent new technique to give children a new chance in life. I have had the privilege to be part of this incredible journey where reduced liver first, then split, living donor, and even monosegmental graft were invented one after each other. In a very short time, nearly 10 years, everything was done. It became, in fact, a passion, and saving life for the smallest and the sickest children became my objective. The most exciting things that I can tell now has been probably that the results have improved rapidly. I remember in the 80s and early 90s, we were very proud of reaching 75 survival at 1 year. And now, as a community of transplant surgeons or a transplant physician overall, we have now reached close to 90% in many programs, and even in some centers, 95% survival at 1 year. More, there is no evidence that some children may survive the first year and then much longer after. These are figures from UNOS. And it confirms not only that survival of children has been improved in the recent decades, and even now they are still continuing improving. And secondly, more interesting, is that the projected survival for the children we are transplanting nowadays, and you can see the upper curve, is reaching or is projected to reach 80% survival of children at 30 years after transplantation. I mean, this is remarkable. And I would say my guess is that we will improve, we will continue improving, and we will offer better. I'm very proud to have been part of this big adventure. On a different note, for the many people who are still young in this room, I want to say that all over these years, last 40 years, and for the people of my generation, we have been living through that. Not only transplant was a great adventure, I've been participating to impressive changes in the world around me. Everyone of my generation will remember the first home computer, the Commodore, the first Walkman, the fall of the Berlin Wall. I mean, we were there. Now, maybe we are close to rebuild it, but at least it was falling down. The creation of the web. I mean, that's not that old. For many young people in the room, You say this is a century ago. No, this is last century, and we were there already. So things are changing very, very quickly. In the sky, the start of Voyager, who is now flying a bit outside the solar system, in the interstellar space, or the first human visiting the moon, and the first robot on Mars. These have been really great times, not only for transplant, but for many, many other things. Today is also my day, I believe, to share some thoughts and what I believe can be also helpful for the young transplant surgeon. I wanted to focus on very simple ideas, so I went to aphorism. And one is this: it always seems impossible until it is done. I think we have been showing how true that is from 40 years ago to now. We thought it would be impossible to reach the number we have, and we did it. And the second is probably more for the surgeon, is measure twice, cut once. I recommend to follow that. Another one that is also very important to my eyes is in the context of these years of rapid and intense technical development, where I have sometimes the feeling that the main goal is lost of sight. I mean, just don't lose sight of the goal. Our mission is to save lives first, improve outcome and quality of the queue slowly. Technical development may be a mean. It is important, but it is not an objective per se. Surgery is a tool. Liver transplantation is a complex process, and I will now share the opinion of Carlos, what he said before, and I will just complete it. First, transplantation is a teamwork, and it needs to be managed by a large multidisciplinary team where each element is a key for the success of all. Remove one piece and the process is compromised. One weakling may compromise the quality and the outcome. The necessary complementarity and the pursuit of perfection is both a strength but also a weakness, and we should not forget that. Each of the team must feel that the success relies on his own achievement of his own piece of the system, and it is important to deliver each for even the small part of the job. During my working life, I've been, like Carlos, I've seen as well, moving from place to place, and I've been working in up to 6 different eras, 6 different places in my life. Thus, many teams, many colleagues, many friends, but they are not all with me today, and they are not all in my team of today. I found everywhere help and support from different specialists, colleagues, nurses, and technicians who helped me doing my job. I want to thank all of them everywhere, even if they are not here today, for being part of my story, having been part of my life, and I thank them for their friendship, their help, and their support to deliver the work at that time when I was there. I cannot finish without sharing this award with my family. They've been supporting me through my life for the best and also for the hard time. I want to especially thank my superwoman wife, Mignon, who is now sharing my life. And thank Mignon for your presence, for your energy, and for being you. Once again, I would like to thank you all, Lars, Carlos, the committee, IPTA members, and all colleagues. I'm not finished with transplantation. I will now focus more on scientific work, remaining available for clinical work advice when necessary. And surely I will have more time to do a lot of other things as well. Thank you once more for this incredible honor you made me today. Thank you very much. Thank you.